I'm Catherine Elizabeth Abbey, and I'm a targeted individual.
My name is Jill Jensen, and I'm a targeted individual.
My name is Jarrell Powell, and I am a targeted individual.
Been targeted by multiple groups over the past decade. I've been surveilled even longer than I've been targeted. I have memories of surveillance for decades. But I've been targeted for the past year by multiple groups. I have aliases for the individuals who are targeting me now.
I have seen 3 of them. At my other location, I also saw one other. And at that location, I knew which apartment they lived in.
I'm under attack 24/7. I experience 24/7 torture in different degrees where it's affecting me, notably taking away my abilities.
The timing is the only way that I know. When I lived in Western Nebraska, I lived in the country. So I was about a mile outside of town. And I lived alone in my grandmother's home, and I'd been there for 10 years, and I felt safer there than I ever felt in town. Both of my parents died close together, about 2 months apart. And about a year after they died, my sleep schedule was still pretty screwed up. So I would be awake at 3 in the morning. And I started noticing that there was a small plane that was landing in the field right next to my house. And it landed at 9 at night and stayed on the ground for about 30 minutes. And then it took off. And at 3 in the morning, it would land again and stay on the ground for 30 minutes. There were always 4 vehicles that met it and 2 people in each vehicle. And each one of them carried a flashlight.
I realized that it was a real something that I had to address quickly because when I was at work and I began to feel like my head, the pops and zaps to my head, that's when I realized it was serious and there was someone actually trying to like harm me, not only with just keeping me up at night and the electronic voicing and auditory like terrorism is what I call it. But I realized that it was a serious issue and I had to make some changes when that began. And that was almost a year after this began.
So yeah, I put up cameras. I called the police several times. I actually caught the police driving into my place and all of those 4 vehicles hiding while the policeman was there and then coming back out when he left. So I turned it all over to the police, but they started harassing me then and they have kept on.
So I have memories as a child of being surveilled remotely. I used to think of it back then as paranormal experiences or psychic experiences. I later learned, after learning about the technology, when I look back on my life, I realized that technology was involved and it had to do with surveillance. So I had to reevaluate some of the memories that I had from earlier in my life. In 2012, I started to be surveilled by one of the men who is in the group on me now. And in 2014, I was endeavoring to provide assistance to some people who were being targeted. I ended up getting targeted further myself. In 2014, I was warned that I could be assassinated and that my children could be used against me. In 2015, I started to experience 3D gang stalking, where individuals would approach me in 3D. They would surround me in vehicles in 3D. My body was doing automatic movements due to the technology and how they were using the technology on me. My devices were being watched. There was professional witnessing to that by a particular investigator. He was endeavoring to secure my phones. He noticed that the devices were being monitored. We witnessed, both of us had witnessed my phones, brand new phones, turning on by themselves. I was getting unauthorized charges on my phone bill from the operations taking place. In addition to that, I was just experiencing much more intrigue than I had ever experienced before. I was falsely accused of being a spy and had to get out of a semi-dangerous situation related to that accusation. I ended up, again, in 2014, I was warned that I could be assassinated and my children could be used against me.
I've recorded them, and there are times when my cats are freaking out, like they're loud on the audio recording. And if there was any chance that I would hear that, there's no way I would sleep through it. I would jump up and see what was happening. I don't know if it's a drug of some kind. I do take prescriptions and supplements at night before I go to bed. But I don't know, someone suggested that they can knock you out with a certain kind of dew. So that's possible too.
Now, I've been writing letters to Ron DeSantis' office, and just this past week, I made a reply. Of all the letters I've written to Ron's office, Ron and I, we actually went to church together as children in Dunedin, Florida, and we actually went to high school together, where I was a senior and he was a freshman. We didn't know each other. We weren't friends, but we were there traversing those halls together. And so I've informed his office of this. I've been writing letters to him advocating that he look at this issue. And one of the letters that I wrote to him was about death threats that I had been receiving from the group surveilling and targeting me.
It was very scary. I became so sleep deprived and so terrified that my family was sure that I was mentally ill and hallucinating.
Now, also in my situation, the past couple of weeks, there have been some developments. Of course, there was the attempted assassination on Donald Trump. And this, I have threads in my own situation that touch upon that. I've experienced the group that's on me attempting to assassinate me. I've nearly died multiple times and survived. My friend Steve has been a witness to that. He's helped me to survive that.
I'm wondering what's going on in America, like why this is occurring, like what the future is going to look like with this happening to everyone.
So I don't understand why they're still doing this to me, unless someone along the line put me on the terrorist database list, and it's a different group who's harassing me. I'm just not sure anymore. Since finding Targeted Justice and PACTS, finding other people who are going through this and kind of learning the rules, the fact that they aren't there to kill me. They're hoping to kill me slowly or have me kill myself. That changes everything, because even when they break in, they're not here to kill me. So yeah, I feel like I'm better equipped to fight them and to survive this. Instead of feeling completely alone and not knowing who it was or what it was that I was fighting, you can't fight if you don't know who they are and what their plan is for you. Knowing that means that I guess I'm just forewarned, so I kind of can anticipate what they're going to be doing. And there have even been times when I would read about something and then the next day it would start for me and I'd be like, okay, I know what that is. You know, it's completely different from being attacked and not knowing who they are or what they're doing.
Fall winter season of this year will be 3 years. It's going to be addressed coming soon, and I just feel like that. But for me, it can't happen quick enough. So many people need to talk about this.
2014, the weaponry was very clearly being used on me. I did not understand the weaponry back then, but I could definitely feel a change in how my body was operating. So 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, there was a group of people on me. They were engaging in a lot of intrigue. I was experiencing synthetic telepathy. I was experiencing forced movements of my body. I was experiencing words coming out of my mouth that I was not intending. So that was my first experience with forced speech, though I didn't recognize it as forced speech back then. And then in November 2018, I was out in Colorado in the Denver area, and the group that is currently on me ended up starting at that time. And that's when I started to experience 24/7 torture with the technology. And I've been experiencing 24/7 torture all of these years ever since.
So I'm currently developing my website, undeafearsaudio.com. The content is very important because it shows listeners exactly what electronic harassment is. It's the only site that displays the type of audio that I've seen, the one I made. So individuals, families, and households understand and recognize what electronic harassment, targeting through electronic harassment is. I've also come up with ideas, plans, and goals that can improve and transcend the state of the targeted community, feature guests in the TI community, connect local and regional targeted individuals, offer self-help, mental health outreach, post credible and relevant articles, literature, law, updates, references, and all that encompasses the well-being and concern of the TI. Any help would be much appreciated. I would like to launch this by the end of the year. I also plan on writing a book based on my personal experiences, but written in an expository, non-fictional, informational style, detailing and describing electronic harassment, the elements of that, neural monitoring, the directed energy, all of those forms comprised into one book.
You know, the death of Dr. Robert Duncan reminded me that when we lose TIs, we lose their stories. If they haven't written them down or spoken them aloud to someone else, we lose all of that detail. So I'm going to be going to the Colorado rally at the end of August, and I volunteered to record people's stories, just so we have a permanent record, and that will live on even if we lose them.
I am pursuing the clarification process through officially through Florida to clear up some of the defamation that I have experienced from a variety of people. Just today, I called the FBI. I called FBI headquarters. There was an incident with the targeting group, the surveillance and targeting group on me. Like I stated, I'm doing this 24/7 live stream. I'm doing it for the purpose of creating records to counter the false intel that is being generated by the surveillance and targeting group that's on me. Neutralize the defamation, make sure that right and correct and accurate records are in place rather than skewed false narratives being put in place. Now today, again, I'm live streaming 24/7, and 4 hours of footage got cut from one of my segments earlier today. The V2K, the forced speech, all of that ended up exposing that the group did maneuvering in the back to make that footage just disappear. And so again, I called the FBI today. I have some things to do through the website. I have some follow-up to do. I still have some follow-up to do with calling Marco Rubio's office, as well as Anna Paulina Luna's office. So those are some of the things that are on my task list forthcoming, as well as putting together some documentation and reports.